Hey everyone, it's Sean from Our Bronco Life, and I have my friend Scott Haines with me, who has decades of off-road experience and has been driving around this manual transmission Badlands for the last 7 months. And he's going to share some tips, tricks, and some hidden secrets about using the manual transmission.
So folks, the first thing I'd like to talk about is how the shift pattern is on the Bronco here. So the Bronco shift pattern is a little more sports car-esque as opposed to an old pickup truck. So it has a very short throw on the shifter, and just a couple things to know about it just to make it easier to fall into line with this thing is the shifter will, when it's in neutral, it will actually spring and sit there in that spot right between third and fourth. All right, now that would be the wall for 5 and 6. That would be the wall for 1 and 2. And to get into crawler or reverse, you're going to use the collar to lift it up, and then that'll get us through that safety gate. Now I can go straight back into crawler without actually using the collar to get in, but to get up into reverse, I'll need the collar again to get into reverse. All right, so if I'm in this position in neutral, I could go straight to reverse by holding that collar. I do not need that collar to come out of reverse and to go back into the other forward gears. All right, but to go into crawler, again, I need to use the collar to get through that gate, and then I can go straight into crawler. So to come out of crawler, I don't need the collar to get back into the other forward gears. So another feature I'd like to talk about is the auto blip or anti-stall feature that the manual transmission Bronco has. So if you look on the dashboard here, you can see that we have a vertical bar tachometer. So there's a red line up there at the top. If you ever hit that red line, the entire bar will light up. It has a 800 RPM warm idle. So a normal manual transmission, when you ease back, when you have it in first gear and you ease back on that clutch, what's typically going to happen is the engine will feel the weight of the vehicle and the RPMs are going to bog down, and then we compensate by giving it a little throttle as we're coming off that clutch to take off. Well, you really don't have to do that with the Bronco. So right now I have it in first gear. It does have a gear shift indicator showing we are in first gear right now on the dashboard there. So all I need to do now is come back gently on that clutch. So as soon as I feel that sweet spot where the clutch and the engine's engaging, you can see the RPMs actually go up. So we're at 1,000 RPM right now and we are moving. So I just keep coming off that clutch nice and easy, and we're off. So we're at 6 miles an hour as I let off that clutch. Never touch the gas pedal to make this move. So right now I'm on the brake. I'm going to just come back till I feel that sweet spot. At that sweet spot, now I'm putting power down to the ground. So I just come off brake and now I'm moving forward. All right, folks, I want to show you another neat feature that is sometimes, I think, overlooked with the manual transmission Bronco. If you guys look out ahead, I don't know if you can see it as clearly as I can, but we are in very heavy traffic. There must be a wreck up there, and we are barely moving down the road. So one thing I can do with this Bronco, instead of being in first gear and jumping between pedals constantly, I can go ahead and put it into crawler gear, lifting up on the collar, engaging crawler gear, which is a 6.58 to 1 gear ratio. All right, now as I ease off my pedals here, I come off that clutch, we take off, and the Bronco is actually going to idle for me at 3 miles an hour. So in that super heavy traffic, I don't even have to touch a single pedal right now. Of course, I'm still steering, all right, but it is going to idle at 3 miles an hour. So if all of a sudden traffic starts to leave, all right, I get a gap in between me and the other cars, I can start to give her gas. I can bring it up to 8 to 10, 11, 12 miles an hour. If all of a sudden I see brake lights, I just lift off throttle and it will immediately engine brake me down because of that super low gear. And now all of a sudden I'm back to 3 miles an hour. All right, folks, another super cool feature about the Bronco is the ability for it to restart if you stall it. So being in one of the high gears, in the transfer case, if I'm on the road and I have a sloppy left foot and I just let go because no matter how cool you are, you're going to stall it at some point. So if all of a sudden I come off that clutch a little sloppy, the vehicle stalls, I stab the clutch, and it restarts for you. couple other things we can do with our transfer case selector here. We can definitely use the goat modes, and I think there's been a bunch of videos on that now, but we can be in normal goat mode, and I can actually select one of my transfer case gear combinations here just by pushing the button. So right now we're in 2 high, and I'm just going to push the button for 4 low in normal goat mode. That gives me the ability to adjust things the way I want, and I basically have good control of what's happening with my vehicle in this situation. I'm going to put this thing in crawler gear, and so in this Badlands Bronco non-squatched, we have a overall gear ratio of 94.75 to 1. So we have close to a 100 to 1 mechanical advantage here. So this thing is going to be very, very slow. So what's going to happen is we're going to be basically 3 times more powerful, but we're going to be about 3 times slower than we normally are. So in crawl gear here, I'm just going to hold that brake for a second till I can get power to the ground. So as soon as I hit the sweet spot on the clutch, all right, my RPMs went up, so I'm going to come off that brake and I'm just going to ease off my clutch, and we are moving. All right, so the Badlands Bronco will top out at 0 to 1 mile an hour idling. So I'm going to let this thing try to crawl up this hill, and at some point she may actually stall. All right, so without touching a single pedal, let's see what happens here. No pedals. We're 800 RPM. The computer's trying to burp that throttle, trying to hit that anti-stall feature, and it looks like she may actually crawl all the way up this. So it never got below 700 RPM. Oh, 6.5. It hit 500 RPM. The computer's auto blipping that. And we made it all the way up the hill, and that had a 20-degree incline. All right, folks, we're going to go up this hill here, and I'm going to start off in 2nd gear in 4 low. If I give it nice gentle throttle, I'll actually be able to crawl all the way up this hill without breaking traction, and it'll do it nice and easy without hitting real high RPMs as well. However, if I don't give it a little gas, at a certain spot up here, it's actually going to stall. And so that's what I want it to do right now, so I can then show you one of my get out of jail free cards. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ease off the clutch. So we're moving. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of gas as we start going up this hill. And it's actually pretty steep with some stair steps in it. And we're going to get up about right here, and she's going to stall. So I go to brakes. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the clutch in. So I got clutch and brake. We are at a 22-degree incline. So it's a little hairy for some folks to make a start in a manual transmission here. Some of the old school techniques were to use the parking brake to try to hold you. And this, again, it's 22 degrees. It's pretty tough for a parking brake to hold you here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to restart it. Takes a second to fire up. It's up and running now. So what I'm going to do now is throw it into crawler gear. This is my AKA get out of jail free card. All right, so a good pedal technique at this position is to now right foot's on the brake, left foot's on the clutch. I'm going to ease back on the clutch till I feel the sweet spot, and my RPMs go up right there. So I'm at 1,000 RPM without touching the gas pedal. All right, so that's the auto stall feature of the Bronco. Now I'm going to take my right foot off the brake, and I'm going to give it very, very gentle gas to start climbing up this hill. It went up to about 1,300 RPM. Now I'm at 900, 800 RPM, and we're just going to crawl up this thing like it's no trouble at all. All right, folks, now I'm going to show you one other neat feature of the manual transmission. We're going to drive up this hill, and then I'm just going to stop on this hill. Again, this is a 22-degree hill, and I'm going to show you that it does have a 3-second hill hold on this. All right, so I'm going to ease off the clutch. We're in our first gear, giving her a little bit of gas. We're going to climb up here a bit, get about halfway up the hill, and then clutch brake. So we're holding right here. Now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to come off this brake, and we're going to have that 3-second hill hold. So right there, I'm going to pop off. 1, 2, 3, and now we're rolling down that hill. So if you want to see it again, I'm going to hold that brake, and as I let off with the clutch in, 1, 2, 3, and we're rolling down the hill. Makes it very easy if you're on one of those super steep streets, you know, and you get stuck at that red light, 3 seconds. It gives you 3 seconds to get from the brake to the gas pedal. And if you ease back on that clutch first, it makes it super easy because you're already putting power to the ground with that anti-stall feature, or the auto blip of the Bronco. All right, folks, the manual transmission Bronco comes with a button in the center of the transfer case selector here, and this is hill descent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push this button, and it's going to come up on the dashboard with hill descent control ready. And then you can tell by the little green icon with the speedometer, if you will, and a vehicle going down a hill. So we're at the top of a pretty good size hill here. Now I'm going to drive it up to the edge of this hill, and we're going to roll it down with hill descent. All right, so I'll be able to show you that even in neutral, this thing's going to control my descent right here, and I can control it with control the speeds of the descent with the plus and minus buttons that I would use for cruise control. All right, so I'm in neutral right here, and now as I start to go down, it's very, very slow. I can plus it up a little bit, and you might be able to hear the brakes a little activating at all 4 corners, and the computer's controlling that, making sure that we have rolling friction, so a tire keeps turning so I can continue to steer the vehicle. And then Alright, so another way to get down a very steep hill with the manual transmission Bronco, we're going to go ahead, we're going to select the 4 low range, which again in the Badlands is a 3.06 to 1. Alright, and this thing's got 470 ring and pinions, so it's super low there. So I'm going to go to first gear in my transmission. I could use crawler and I could potentially use second gear, all based on the situation. This hill's pretty steep, it's not crazy steep, and the traction's a little on the loose side, so I think crawl would be too slow. First gear seems to be the right medicine for this problem. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ease off of the clutch. We're moving. Now once I get moving, I'm going to take both my feet off all the pedals. So I'm not touching a single pedal here, and we're just going to ease down this hill, and you can see it in the front camera here on the Lux package. It's showing the hill, and now that the hood's down, I can actually look over the hood and see what I'm going down. And you can hear, this is called engine braking, because you can hear that motor winding up as it's spinning everything in the drivetrain as gravity's pulling the Bronco down the hill.
Hope you enjoyed learning some tips and tricks about the manual transmission in the Ford Bronco. A special thanks to Scott Haines. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and check out all of our other great videos coming your way.